I have on my screen here a guy named John Cooper. He's apparently the lead singer of a band called Skillet. Now, Skillet is apparently a pretty popular band. I had no idea. But it's like a kind of a metal band or whatever, and they went mainstream, straight up. They're mainstream, but they're a Christian band, like giga, ultra, nutter butter of epic proportions level Christian. So he appears, John Cooper, the lead singer, he appears on this pro-Trump TV show. Yeah, I have a cat in my lap here. I don't know. You may be able to see the bottom of her. Anyway, or the top of her. Anyways, they appeared on this pro-Trump extremist TV show where they commonly have, like, what do you call it? Like televangelists, prophets of God and stuff like that on to lay down prophecy. So I wanted to listen to what they had to say. I think that they're going to talk about like Israel and Palestine and some other subjects. So I'm going to just jump to the introductions. Oh, yeah. Dinesh D'Souza is on here also, and Lance Walnut. These people are insane. Anyway, let's give it a listen. While we listen to this, we are going to play some Final Fantasy VII Remake. I haven't made it all the way through the game. I've just kind of been moseying my way through it or whatever. It's just something to do while we listen to this. And this is a part I have not actually played. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for it, and I don't completely mess up because I'm not paying close enough attention. Anyway, all right, let's give it a listen, shall we?
Our good friend Lance Walnow. There he is.
Thought it was Walnaw, not Walnow. I love how he pronounces it, though.
Hello, Lance. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you, sir, on the road. Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza, who's got a new film out that everybody needs to go see. And our friend John Cooper, lead singer for multi-platinum band Skillet, author now, and a podcast host.
Seriously, I understand the dude's very influential, well-known, and, mainstream.
And he learned everything from me that he needed to know about how to do all of those things. See, he's nodding.
Yep.
He's not.
Hilarious. Nobody is laughing at this, Gene. God, it's actually painful when somebody tells a joke that, like, nobody laughs at. I feel so bad for him, you know?
Everything from me that he needed to know about how to do all of those things. See, he's nodding.
Yep.
He's nodding. Yep. Okay. That's the only time
So painful.
That's
John
right.
will agree with me all night tonight. All right. So listen, all of you know you can't depend on the mainstream media to bring you all of what's happening. It's either misinformation or disinformation. That's why you're watching us. That's why you should stay.
For the disinformation, that's why people are watching. For the disinformation, yeah, that checks out. These people are kings of disinformation. That's all they propagate. Seriously, it's insane. Some of the stuff that they talk about on here and spread, some of the ideas they spread. Quick interjection, this won't take long. I just want to say, if you want to support my channel, the best way you can do it is by watching this video to the end, or at least watching a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. YouTube's recommendation algorithm works off of watch time. You can also subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out my Patreon. Link is in the description for that. All right, back to the video.
Stay tuned to us because we're going to continue to bring you exactly what's going on. So last night, you probably didn't see this. Very few reported on it. Look at what happened at the DNC last night. Watch.
Democratic National Convention, I think. So what happened at the Democratic Convention or whatever? Okay.
And as the President of the United States was facing protests at AIPAC, the headquarters of his Democratic Party endured their own protests back.
Okay, AIPAC, as they just mentioned, AIPAC is a political action committee. It's basically like a super PAC that is pro-Israel, and any candidate that is willing to support Israel, they will put money into them. Like, no matter who it is, Republican or Democrat, they don't care. It's usually Republican because Republicans are, ultra right-wing. They're basically Republicans being the evangelical extremists that they tend to be. The Republican Party is very much driven by the evangelical voting bloc at this point. Evangelicals tend to be an interesting version of pro-Israel and anti-Semitic simultaneously. It's bizarre. In fact, I was just talking about this recently on my Fireside Chat channel about a guy named John Hagee, who's famous for being anti-Semitic, right? John McCain in 2008 rejected this guy's endorsement because he's anti-Semitic. And now this guy, John Hagee, is showing up to all these pro-Israel, March for Israel things. It's insane. So it's like, why is this guy pro-Israel and anti-Semitic? How did this happen? And the answer is evangelicals, like these people, like the people that Donald Trump panders to, they believe that Jews need to inhabit the Holy Land before the end can come. And when the end comes, all of the Jews in Israel are going to be killed, wiped out. 2/3, I think, will be wiped out, and the other 1/3 will convert to Christianity. Something to that effect. So don't get it twisted. The people we're listening to right now are not pro-Jewish person. They're not anti-discrimination against Jews. They are some of the worst perpetrators of discrimination against the Jewish community. They perpetuate lies and slander and blood libel and all of these old anti-Semitic tropes that have existed for, well, thousands of years, but were primarily put pen to paper about 1902 with the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. They perpetuate this stuff. They always have, these evangelicals we're listening to. They hate Jewish people, but need Israel to exist, so they will pour as much money as it takes into preserving the country of Israel and rebuilding the Third Temple over the Dome of the Rock, a massive Islamic holy site, basically. So, anyway, just don't want you to get confused here. These people are not pro-Jew.
States was facing protests at AIPAC. The headquarters of his Democratic Party endured their own protests back in Washington after activists gathered right in front of the DNC demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The demonstrators reportedly trapped lawmakers and their staff until police arrived, breaking up the scene and setting up a face-off with protesters. Those protests this evening took place just days after a mass pro-Israel protest descended on Washington and after more than 100 congressional staffers walked out of Capitol Hill demanding the administration call for a ceasefire.
Okay, so now these people are going to talk about how Democrats don't support Israel and how they're depraved and evil and anti-Semitic and blah, blah, blah. In reality, these people here, the Republicans on screen, or this Republican, and the ones that are on this show, are deeply anti-Semitic. AIPAC, the pro-Israel super PAC, has put an absurd amount of money into supporting evangelical extremist candidates. And, you know, here we are as a result. Like, this bed has kind of been made for them. And my God, it's just crazy, bro. It's just insane.
All right, Lance, you see that happened last night. I don't know, you and I haven't really talked about this. I mean, it was staggering what was going on there. Now, that, interestingly enough, that was ABC News. They carried the more tame part of the protest. It got...
the more tame part? So I guess he's saying that it was like really, really extreme and insane or something?
More, it got worse from there. Look at this. Chad Pergram posts, all House office buildings locked down, no exit or entry due to pro-Palestinian demonstration on Capitol Hill.
Okay, who is Chad Pergram? Why am I looking at a tweet from this guy? Or Zeet, I guess, since it's X rather than Twitter now. Why am I looking at this guy's Zeet? Who is this dude? Let me look this up. Chad Pergram. Yeah, Chad Pergram. He's just a Fox News political commentator, not journalist, political commentator. That's it. He's just a political commentator on Fox. Okay, great. I don't know why I should trust this dude and trust a word out of his mouth.
All house buildings, significant demonstration, no entry or exit is permitted. You may move throughout the building. So these people were really in a total lockdown. I think that's pretty newsworthy, Lance. But it got worse. Go ahead. Your comment.
It's newsworthy, and in a kind of mischievous way. It's fascinating to see how the left is cannibalizing itself as it experiences the inevitable byproduct of all those years of their teaching in the universities. Listen to all the kids. You could hear almost like the teenage enthusiasm in the audience, in the crowd there, because they're recruiting these kids. By the way, there was the New York Times wasn't even being mentioned much in the news. Their whole building was sieged in New York.
Wait, I'm sorry. This guy just said something about kids and college campuses. What did that have to do with anything? I don't understand. What was he even talking about just now? Just step back 15 seconds. Listen to what he just said. It sounded like complete nonsense.
Product of all those years of their teaching in the universities. Listen to all the kids. You could hear almost like the teenage enthusiasm in the audience, in the crowd there, because they're recruiting these kids. By the way,
what is he talking about? I don't understand. What does this have to do with anything? Is he saying that kids have enthusiasm over politics? Or what? I'm just so lost by what he's saying here. Cootmaster, hate those guys who run up to me saying, "Oh, love you so much. We love the Jews." BS, they don't. I know, it's disturbing and weird, right? Thank you for standing up, supporting me/us. Absolutely. Do anything that I can for the Jewish community, for real. I have called out anti-Semitism from day one. People like John Hagee, people like who we're listening to right now, are not in favor of helping the Jewish community. They're in favor of murdering the entire Jewish community. They just need Israel to exist. That's it. That's all there is to it. And it's psychotic and disturbing. Anyway, let's keep listening here. Whoop. Here we go.
There was the New York Times wasn't even being mentioned much in the news. Their whole building was sieged in New York.
Look, I don't know what he's talking about. I live in New York City. I've been right past the New York Times building. I've seen it 1,000 times, walked by it pretty frequently, actually. Didn't see anything like that. No clue what he's going on about. New York City doesn't have massive protests that are just destroying everything. I just went to the pharmacy earlier. Just hang out, do whatever. There's no insane mob trying to kill people. Dude is trying to fearmonger to the best of his ability.
The New York Times and the Democratic Party are under attack by left-wing radicals. Something interesting is happening in America, because it isn't a right-wing thing that they're attacking. It's their own party.
No, they're attacking, people to the left are also unhappy with what the right is doing. It's just they seem to be a little bit more disturbed by what the left is doing because they expected more of the left. They expected more of, say, John Fetterman. I didn't expect the dude to come out in favor of, Israel genociding an entire group of people and using the same disturbing tactics that I've seen from genocidal governments since the very beginning. I was thinking genocidal corporations because that's what is, going on in this game.
They're starting to eat themselves.
The left isn't eating themselves. I think people are just starting to realize how whacked out, how much of a stranglehold the Israeli government has, not Jewish people, the Israeli government and AIPAC have on our political lobby. That's all. And how much of a stranglehold they have on the Jewish community. They've spent so much time and money and everything on brainwashing them into tying their identity to Israel. It's insane. You use Israeli and Jewish person interchangeably almost at this point. It's crazy. Anyway.
They are strange. John, you see this. Now, this is footage that was happening as things got worse throughout the night.
By the way, I don't know what they're showing here. I don't believe a word out of their mouths. If they say the sky is blue, you need to double check. They take things out of context all the time. They straight up lie about things. They don't even need to take it out of context. They'll just fabricate it. So be extremely skeptical of anything you see here for real. By the way, Islam means peace. Thank you, Roman, for that information. Yes, I think the word salam means peace. And people claim that Islam derives from the word salam. But to my knowledge, it does not. To my knowledge, the words salam and Islam are not connected. But anyways, either way, adherents of the religion of Islam, not all of them, feel that, peace should be a central tenet. Or they claim it does, but they don't live that way. So, same with Christianity, to be fair. Anyway, let's keep listening here.
We muted the audio because they were talking a lot about your mother and things like that.
Oh my, the gall. Did you hear that? Talking about they muted the audio. Oh boy, these people don't like your mother jokes. I love it.
John, you see this. Now, this is footage that was happening as things got worse throughout the night. We muted the audio because they were talking a lot about your mother and things like that.
Talking about your mother. Oh, I love it. Whose mother exactly? Talking about Gene Bailey's mother? I talk about Gene Bailey's mother all the time. Oh, what a stupid thing to get upset about.
But I mean, this got to be pretty significant, John.
I didn't see a lot of it, but we do, I really want to echo something Lance just said. We have a major problem. 51% of Americans aged 18 to 24, 51% believe that Hamas was justified in the Israel massacre.
This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, this is the lead singer of the band Skillet. Remember a minute ago I said they lie about things regularly? They twist things around, take it out of context? Interestingly enough, that statistic he just cited, completely made up. I have no idea where I'm going right now. I remember this part as being really confusing. I did get past this part in my original playthrough, but it's just like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? I have no clue. Anyway, the real statistic is 1% of the United States supports Hamas. That is such an obscenely low number. I don't even know what to do with it. And this guy comes in and says it's 51% of the left. Come on. Really? Maybe he saw that 1% and then said, well, the left only makes up about 2% of the country, and if it's 1% of the country, then 51% of the left. I mean, I don't know what twisted up ridiculous logic he used to get there. Maybe there was no logic. Maybe he just fabricated it right out of the ether. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Did he make this up, or did he get it from somebody else who made this statistic up? Listen again.
We have a major problem. 51% of Americans aged 18 to 24, 51% believe that Hamas was justified in the Israel massacre on October 7th, justified with the raping of innocent civilians, the burning of babies. Everybody's heard all the same stuff.
Yeah, we've heard all of this. Thank you for putting it in context for us and saying all this stuff that I'm going to have to censor later. This isn't true. None of it is true. It's fear-mongering. There's this hashtag letter to America or something like that on TikTok, and it was a hashtag about Osama bin Laden's letter to the American people after he ran the planes into the buildings on September 11th, 2001. And the letter was just propagandistic garbage. It was like a stream of consciousness where the dude just sat down and got out every grievance that he could possibly think of. It was absurd. He sounded exactly like a televangelist to me. But so Fox News and the New York Post and the Daily Mail and all the right-wing sources made this big deal out of the fact that there was a Letter to America hashtag, and there were a bunch of videos on it, and people were talking about how, you know, it opened their eyes to America being evil and stuff. I read this letter that Osama bin Laden wrote, the entire thing beginning to end, and I'm going to upload it to my Fireside Chat channel if you guys want to see it. But as it turns out, the original Letter to America hashtag on Tuesday and Wednesday, when this was originally being discussed, had 274 videos. 274. That's like nothing. For a viral, quote unquote, a viral TikTok trend, it's nothing. 274 videos, 1.8 million views over 2 days. I have videos with 1.8 million views, or maybe 1.3 million or somewhere in that vicinity. 1.8 million views is not that many for a hashtag. It's not viral at this point, okay? But Republicans looking for an excuse or looking for some way to attack the left wrote this big Twitter thread about like how evil this is and how the left has gone too far and they're so stupid and blah, blah, blah. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, 1.8 million views on the hashtag. Thursday and Friday, I think, it had 30 million views. 30 million. It jumped from 2 million to 30 million after it was exposed and talked about on Fox News and everything else. Everybody wanted to go there and see this hashtag. And Hamas has 1% support in the U.S. 1%. So this idea that Gen Z, like, supports Hamas and supports, Palestine attacking Israel or whatever, and supports bin Laden's letter and all this other stuff. It's nonsense. It was all fabricated outrage from the start. But I wanted to read the letter anyways. One more thing about this. This is the same type of I have no idea where I'm going in this game right now. What am I doing? And why is it so, confusing? Why can't it be a little bit more straightforward? It's kind of annoying. Anyway, this is a tactic the right has a tendency to use a lot. In 1989, June 21st, 1989, the Supreme Court ruled on whether or not people should be allowed to burn the American flag. Okay? Now, who was burning the American flag? Nobody. Nobody was burning the American flag. There was one guy, maybe, who burned the American flag. May have even been a hypothetical. I have no clue. It was not this big trend that was happening at the time. Maybe one guy did it, and they used that guy as an example to go to the Supreme Court and claim that the entire left wanted to burn American flags. Slandering the left with this idea that they're just out to destroy America or whatever. This is what the right has always done. The KKK used to do this exact strategy back in the day when they were in their heyday. They've largely fallen from grace. They used to control entire towns, the KKK, not as much anymore. But this is the same thing they used to do. They will claim the left is doing something psychotic and blow it up into this huge thing and make a huge deal out of it, even though nobody said or did that, nobody actually supported this, nobody cared. They'll still claim it, make a big deal out of it, and make it into this, they'll bring it from 2 million views to 30 million views in a day, that kind of thing. So let's continue listening to this skillet guy propagandize and lie for the right.
Of innocent civilians, the butchering of babies. Everybody's heard all the same stuff, putting living children in ovens and burning them.
None of this is true. This is all completely fabricated. Is Hamas bad? Yes, absolutely. Hamas is disgusting and evil. So is Hezbollah. So is ISIS. They're all awful. I don't stand for any of those people. I don't believe in any of that. And in an ideal world, those people would be de-radicalized and see what they were doing for what it is. Absolutely grotesque, evil, and disturbing. But, we don't live in a perfect world, so, got to deal with what we've got here. Whether Hamas is doing that stuff or not, though, does not justify the absolute horrific slaughter that's taking place in Gaza. It also doesn't justify lying about it. You don't have to make things up to make Hamas out to be evil. Like, they're already evil. Just, don't lie about it. I don't get this logic.
To death is some of the most demonic, horrific things I've ever heard of. So we have a major problem. And I think what, my passion is to help educate Christians so Christians understand that wokeness or identity politics, hard leftism, whatever you want to call it, it is a totalizing worldview, and it is at odds with Western civilization. It is.
Can you explain the worldview to me? Worldviews are all-encompassing ideals that people strive to enact, basically. Atheism is not a worldview, but secular humanism is a worldview, for example. It's kind of like a statement, a moral statement, or a statement of your interest or whatever. Here's secular humanism's worldview. Human beings are capable of being ethical and moral without religion or belief in a deity. It does not, however, assume that humans are either inherently good or evil, nor does it present humans as being superior to nature. That's a worldview. So what's this leftist worldview that he's talking about? What is this woke worldview he's describing here? All right, I'm sorry, Miki. You're going to have to move. Hang on. You guys get to see Miki for a second while I move her. Sorry, guys. Had to get her out of the way. Okay, let's continue.
At odds with Christianity.
Right.
Their belief is that if you have a revolution against the oppressors, then whatever you do is justified. Whatever you do is moral because you are the oppressed. And that is a way to wreck the entire Western civilization.
Oh, that's fascinating. What he's talking about is an ends justify the means mentality. And ends justify the means mentality is absolutely a deeply disturbing and dangerous way to view the world. It is a hallmark of a cult. When you see groups using an ends justify the means mentality, it's sure to end in tears. For example, Scientology has an ends justify the means mentality when it comes to fair gaming people that speak out against them or whatever. They will ruin your life. They'll do all kinds of messed up stuff to you just because they can, because it's worth it to ruin your life at any cost. Ends justify the means. The end is getting you to shut up or ruining your life. That's the end. The means, whatever it is that they have to do, is justified. Now, interestingly enough, that's not actually how the left, I guess if as a monolith, if you want to group it that way, the Democratic Party, that's not how it views things. MAGA, however, that is how MAGA views things. Fascinating to hear them talking about this.
Are the oppressed, and that is a way to wreck the entire Western civilization.
Let me go to you, Dinesh. You heard John there. Is this wrecking the Western civilization? Is that the goal here?
Is that the goal? They're saying it's the goal of the left to destroy America. Really?
Well, the goal here is to Obama had a pretty good term for it, the remaking of America.
Okay, I never heard Obama use it that way, but let's hear this propagandist for the right, Dinesh D'Souza, twist Obama's words around to be something other than what he actually meant.
It's remaking that the left is all about, not mere destruction. So sometimes I think we misunderstand them. We're like, oh, they're destroying the military. No, they don't like what the military has been and what the military stands for. They would like to deploy a military that would go against patriots and conservatives and Republicans and Christians. If they are able to refashion the military that way, they will count that as success.
No. Who is they, by the way? What is he talking about? When I say they, I'm almost always talking about the people that are on this show specifically and the Republican leaders in Congress. Who is he talking about? Who wants to refashion the military to target Trump supporters with it? What?
Similarly, the police. Although they say defund the police, the left wants to remake the police. They want to make the police into a kind of militia.
Where's he getting all of this? I'll tell you where he's getting all of this. From his ass. He's getting it from his ass. He's getting it from nowhere. This is completely made up. But he's trying to scare Trump supporters, so he's going to make up the most horrific scenario he can possibly imagine.
Conservatives and Republicans and Christians. If they are able to refashion the military that way, they will count that as success. Similarly, the police. Although they say defund the police, the left wants to remake the police. They want to make the police into a kind of militia that they can use domestically against their opponents.
His evidence? Trust me, bro.
And by the way, these are the hallmarks of a police state. That's the title of my new film. And what a police state is a deployment of the militarized and police agencies of government.
By the way, if you don't know this guy, my God, those buzzwords he's throwing down. He's the guy that created the propaganda film 2000 Mules. This BS propaganda arguing for the idea that Trump was cheated out of the election and the left lied and blah, 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 you know, all that stuff. What the hell am I supposed to be doing here? I have no clue what is going on. Am I just supposed to be like walking around and talking to people or what? Why is it not letting me in? See, this is one of the things that really pisses me off about this game. I love Final Fantasy VII so much. It is a fantastic, incredible story, but it won't let me go out of bounds away from this area, and it won't let me in here, and it keeps saying, come back to this house. This is really, really annoying. I am frustrated beyond belief by this. Anyway, let's keep listening here.
Hallmarks of a police state. That's the title of my new film. And what a police state is a deployment of the militarized and police agencies of government domestically against one of the two political parties. Police states tend to be one-party states, and I think we are seeing a serious effort to build a one-party state in America.
Well, give me evidence. I'll take anything. He says there's a serious effort for Democrats to build a one-party state in the U.S. That's really what he's saying here. One piece of evidence. I will take anything at all.
Similar to what we see in North Korea, China, the old Soviet Union, classic police states from now or in the past.
Oh, my God. And he's now using communism to scare the old Soviet Union. He's trying everything he can, pulling out all the stops to scare the shit out of old white people.
All right, well, let me show you what happened the day before, those of you home watching. You need to see, this is a lot of what was going on just 24 hours before. Watch.
We are here united, Democrat and Republican, House and Senate, to say we stand with Israel.
Yeah, so Chuck Schumer, leader of the Senate on the Democrat side, and actually I believe he's the current leader of the Senate, right? Because the Senate is controlled by Democrats right now. Anyways, a lot of people are not happy about this at all. This is actually grotesque and evil. All right, let me explain what Israel is doing that is so disgusting to me and disturbing. Think about this, okay? North Korea is absolutely terrible. It is an extremist regime that brainwashes their citizenry from a very young age, convinces them that everybody on the outside is out to get them and hates them and blah, 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 right? I guess I'm supposed to be just exploring the slums here. This is really annoying. Why is it not just letting me continue with the story? This is the kind of thing that makes me want to just throw the game out the window, seriously. Anyways. So North Korea has, for example, in the past, they've had textbooks, like math textbooks for kids, right? And in the textbook, it says things like, if you have 5 American bastards and you shoot 3 American bastards, then how many American bastards do you have left? You know, that level of propaganda against people that they don't like. What GPU am I running? This is not on PC. This is on PS4. You guys don't even know what was involved in getting this thing to stream. It was a pain. But anyways, North Korea is completely ass backwards, and the citizenry, some of them are certainly friendly to the outside world. The vast majority, I'd be willing to bet, hate the outside world, hate South Korea, and hate U.S. citizens, and would do anything they could to attack us or whatever. Now imagine this. Imagine South Korea deciding to just pull the trigger, just invade North Korea, take it over, try to free the people. And in their effort to free the people, just imagine with me for a second, they take missiles and indiscriminately bomb massive amounts of civilians in city. They just shoot missiles at Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, and destroy it, just bring it down to rubble. I don't care how much North Koreans hate Americans or whatever. That is wrong on so many levels. Human life is the most precious and valuable thing in existence in the entire universe, in the known universe. And killing people indiscriminately who may or may not have done anything at all is just wrong. I don't care if they hate me or not. I don't care if they're anything. I don't care. And I feel the same way about Israel and how they're treating Palestinians right now. Yes, Hamas bad. Absolutely. That does not justify you murdering indiscriminately civilians who didn't do anything to anybody. It's just wrong. Jesus Christ, finally. I apparently had to talk to some kid somewhere. Like, why? Why did they send me on this stupid trek that was absolutely pointless, did nothing for me? It was very annoying. This is a really cool game. I like it a lot. But that kind of shit right there drives me insane. I just don't put that in your game, okay? Don't make me go wandering around aimlessly, have no idea what I'm doing, with no information, no nothing. Jesus Christ, dude. Anyways. Yeah, I'm just disgusted with, like, what Israel is doing. And, you know what else I'm disgusted with? I'm disgusted by the fact that Democrats in positions of power, like Chuck Schumer, are saying things like, we stand with Israel like that. No, I don't stand with Israel as they wantonly genocide an innocent group of people. I don't. I stand with Jews and I stand with Palestinians. I don't stand with the absolutely psychotic Israeli government. By the way, people are fired from their jobs for saying that. In some states, it's illegal. I think 37 states or something. It's illegal to partake in boycott, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. It's against the law to boycott Israel. Like not buying hummus, for example. Like if you decide not to buy hummus, which by and large comes out of Israel, that's against the law. I mean, it's unenforceable, but it's there. And I have to imagine it's largely there because of AIPAC. It's just, God, it's disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting, for real. Anyway.
There are few issues in.
Oh, this is the Speaker of the House currently, Mike Johnson, right-wing evangelical nutcase. He's one of those people, one of the guys that loves Israel because he needs it to exist for, the end to come, but hates Jews and expects to see them all die a horrific, ugly death one day.
Washington that could so.
Let me step back. Listen again.
There are few issues in Washington that could so easily bring together leaders of both parties in both chambers. But the survival of the state of Israel and her people unites us together, and it unites all Americans.
I know you are in pain. I know you are afraid. I know you feel alone and abandoned by people you thought were your friends. I know you feel misunderstood and maligned. I know because I do too.
I am here to do.
Oh, yeah. God, John Hagee, of all people. I was talking about him a few minutes ago. This is at the March for Israel or whatever thing it was. I don't remember what it was called now, but what a psychotic, bizarre, odd thing for this guy to appear at when he is very obviously openly anti-Semitic. If you don't believe me on that, let me just show you the clip that I talked about recently on my podcast. Hold on. It's really old. It's from the 90s. But it's an idea that this guy has held all this time. He's put it into his books and talked about it and tried to get people to agree with it generally. Here you go. Here is John Hagee talking about his views on Hitler and the Jews.
The answer is fishers and hunters. The answer is given in Jeremiah 16, verse 15 and following. God says in Jeremiah 16, "Behold, I will bring them, the Jewish people, again into their land that I gave unto their fathers." That would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. "Behold, I will send for many fishers, and after will I send for many hunters, and they, the hunters, shall hunt them."
So he's saying that God prophesied in this ass-backwards interpretation of a Bible verse that is incorrect, that John Hagee, incorrectly read prophecy into. He says that this prophecy says that God is going to drive people back to Israel so that the end will come, basically. And he's going to use fishers and hunters to do it. That's not what the verse was saying, but okay.
"Many fishers, and after will I send for many hunters, and they, the hunters, shall hunt them." That will be the Jews. "From every mountain and from every hill and from out of the holes of the rocks." If that doesn't describe what Hitler did in the Holocaust, you can't see that.
I.e., Hitler was acting with God's hand. Hitler had God's blessing to do what he did to the Jews. That's what he was saying. And now he is here at this March for Israel or whatever, pro-Israel rally. I'm telling you, man, this movement is as anti-Semitic as it gets. I don't give a shit if they say that they're pro-Israel or not. It's nonsense. They're anti-Semitic nutcases, all of them.
Deliver a singular message. Israel, you are not alone. I want you to shout that loud enough for them to hear it in Jerusalem. Ready? Jerusalem, Israel, you are not alone. Israel, you are not alone.
My name is Rachel, and I am the mother of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, a wounded civilian American Israeli kidnapped from the music festival on October 7th.
I'm so sorry for that. I'm really, really sorry to hear about that, actually. It's deeply heartbreaking that people were captured like that. And again, indiscriminate killing of people who did not deserve it. I read Osama bin Laden's letter on my stream the other day, right? And his justification for attacking civilians basically went like this. You live in a democracy, and that means that you control your government to some degree, and you have, I know he's talking to each individual American here, and you have chosen not to elect different leaders who would do different things. So you are ultimately a valid target because this all routes back to your decision to vote, i.e., you deserve what you get with 9/11 and everything because you live in a democracy. That was his ultimate argument. This is absolute psychosis that we're seeing on like the right. I'm talking about the Islamic right and the Christian right, both. Insanity.
38 nights, none of us have slept the real sleep of the before.
As we read in the Word.
The hell does that mean? 38 nights? We haven't slept the real sleep of the before. She's saying we haven't slept since they took him. We haven't slept a good night since they took him. What a weird cryptic thing to say. I don't want to say this without evidence, but I'm going to look the evidence up just to see if I'm correct on it. I believe, okay, as of 5 hours ago. Yes, okay. Take a look at this. This is what I thought. This is from The Guardian. Netanyahu rejected a ceasefire for hostages deal in Gaza, sources say. Israeli Prime Minister said to have turned down proposal in early talks and continues to take tough line. So this woman here, who's really broken up about this, justifiably so, she's upset that she's lost her family member because they were taken by Hamas, and she's lashing out at Palestine. Well, guess who you should be lashing out at, really? Guess who is really to blame here? Netanyahu. Netanyahu rejected ceasefire for hostages deal in Gaza, sources say. This is November 9th. Benjamin Netanyahu rejected a deal for a 5-day ceasefire with Palestinian militant groups in Gaza in return for the release of some of the hostages. Wow, 5-day ceasefire, 5-day. In exchange for some of the hostages held in the territory early in the war, according to sources familiar with the negotiations. Okay, they're not revealing their sources, but The Guardian is pretty trustworthy, especially on foreign issues. The sources said the Israeli Prime Minister rejected the deal outright in negotiations soon after Hamas militants staged an unprecedented incursion into Israeli territory on October 7th, killing an estimated 1,400 people. I thought it was like 700 or 900. I guess it wasn't. Negotiations resumed after the launch of the Israeli ground offensive on the 27th of October, but the same sources said Netanyahu had continued to take a tough line on proposals involving ceasefires of different durations in exchange for varying number of hostages. Others indicated negotiations which took place prior to the ground invasion involved a far larger number of hostages, with Hamas proposing the release of dozens of foreign nationals captive in Gaza. So, anyways, this is Netanyahu's doing. Netanyahu did this. Netanyahu was given the opportunity to get at least some of the hostages back, and what did he do? Rejected the ceasefire. There's an update to this story, though. This came out. So the last one was November 9th. The newer one is, the newer one is from Reuters. Netanyahu asked Israeli oh my God, please, no, I don't want to support you, Reuters. Netanyahu asked Israeli government to back Hamas hostage deal. So he's only the prime minister. He only has so much power. He's been trying to consolidate that power lately, but can only do so much, you know. Jerusalem, November 21st, Reuters. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked his government on Tuesday to back a deal to clear the way for the release of some of the hostages that Palestinian Hamas militants took to the Gaza Strip during October 7th's assault on Israel. In a recorded message at the start of a government meeting, Netanyahu vowed the war would continue until Israel achieved all its goals. A U.S. official said the deal will include a 4 or 5 day ceasefire, the first pause in 6 weeks of an Israeli bombardment of Gaza. So he took the deal finally. We'll get the hostages. I mean, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, how many died in that time period? How many were malnourished or didn't have enough food, water, whatever, or sleep? How many were tortured in that time period? Speaking after presenting the still undisclosed details of the deal to his war cabinet and the wider national security cabinet, Netanyahu told his government it was a difficult decision, but the right decision, and would enable Israel to go on fighting Hamas. Look, one of my big problems with this whole situation is that Israel lies about what's happening constantly. Constantly. It's a nonstop barrage of lie after lie after lie from these people. Let me find one example of what I'm talking about here. Hang on. Okay, listen to this video. It's by the BBC, and it should serve as an example of what I'm talking about when I say the Israeli government, not Jews, the government, is completely untrustworthy. I don't believe a word out of their mouths. I believe the Israeli government less than I believe Palestine at this point. Let me show you why. Listen to this BBC report.
Thank you. Well, BBC Verify has been examining the different sources of information that we have on this. Israel describes the Al-Shifa hospital as the main headquarters for Hamas's terrorist activity.
The Al-Shifa hospital has been attacked and bombed, and people have claimed that it's all, you know, a Hamas staging ground and everything else. And it all turned out to be a lie. Israel lied about this.
This IDF animation, posted in late October, claims to represent a Hamas tunnel system underneath the hospital. But having been inside Al-Shifa since early Wednesday, Israel's yet to produce evidence of the tunnels. It has allowed the BBC and Fox News to film.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, man. I need evidence. I don't believe a word out of these people's mouths. I need evidence for everything that I believe.
Tunnels. It has allowed the BBC and Fox News to film at the hospital, though only locations of Israel's choice.
This is what they found.
Israel also released its own 7-minute video, which BBC Verify has analysed. A watch, visible in that video, suggests it was filmed a few hours before the BBC arrived.
Russia does the exact same things and have fallen for the same stupid mess-ups where Russia films propaganda videos, and you can see a clock in the frame or a watch or something, and they forgot to take off or remove. And it shows that it was not filmed when they claimed that it was filmed. Seriously, this is like, God, dude. If you're going to make a propaganda film, guys, take your watches off, okay? On second thought, don't.
It was filmed a few hours before the BBC arrived. And this IDF video was posted, then deleted, then reposted. This time without a section referring to an Israeli soldier who'd been held hostage.
I don't know when this was used the last time.
Also in the video, we see a room with an MRI machine.
And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you'll be able to see is military equipment.
The BBC was shown the same.
So they're showing guns in an MRI room. They're claiming that Hamas kept their guns in an MRI room. FYI, if the MRI machine is on, which is like 24/7, the magnets are running. You cannot have metal anywhere near an MRI machine like this. And it's simply completely absurd at its face to believe that this was happening. But keep listening, it gets even more absurd.
It's military equipment.
The BBC was shown the same room. And what we see in the two videos doesn't precisely match. For example, there's one gun in the IDF video, two by the time of the BBC footage. Israel has told BBC Verify this is because more weaponry and terrorist assets were discovered throughout the day.
And as always,
Totally. I bet. Yeah, absolutely. That checks out.
An AK-47.
Israel also says its video is a single shot with no edits. But this appears to be an edit. We don't know the reasons.
It was an edit. I edit videos for a living. That was an edit. It was a jump cut. I know exactly what a jump cut looks like.
An edit.
And how to identify one. That was a jump cut. It was not filmed in one complete frame. Why lie about this? They are so bad at lying. Seriously. This is my problem with Israel. This is why I don't trust a word out of their mouths as a government. Because of things like this. You know, if Israel were trustworthy, with everything that they talk about or that they release or that whatever, with all the evidence that they lay down, I would believe them much more readily than I do. But they're never accurate with this. It's like they constantly lie about it. Insane. FF7 remake looks amazing. Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely does. I'm not paying too much attention to it, though. Usually I'd be listening to the voice acting and the music and everything is all top tier. Really, really good.
We don't know the reasons for that edit, nor how significant it is. The IDF, though, says suggestions it's manipulating the media are incorrect. The IDF video also shows military equipment in other locations.
They're definitely manipulating the media. That's what's happening. They're lying to the media. Absolutely. Why? Don't know. Did they actually find this stuff? Was this legit? Don't know. Maybe. But they definitely lied to the media. They're trying to manipulate the media for sure.
The IDF video also shows military equipment in other locations, though we can't verify how it came to be there. And what we see in this IDF video doesn't equate to Israel's description of Al-Shifa as an operational command center for Hamas. The US is using a different phrase, saying Al-Shifa was used as a command and control node. That implies a much smaller facility. And as Israel makes the case for this operation, let's consider the Geneva Conventions, the foundations of the rules of war. They state that hospitals can lose their protection if they are used to commit acts harmful to the enemy. Israel believes Hamas has done this in Al-Shifa and says that what's been discovered so far is just the start.
And what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg.
Israel is adamant this hospital was a command center, but for now, at least, it's either not found supporting evidence or it's not sharing it. Back to you, Sophie. Thank you.
So this is my point. This is why I don't trust a word out of Israel's mouth ever. Not one word. They're completely untrustworthy. They've lost all credibility and they've lost their what's the word I'm looking for here? They've lost their goodwill here with me. They've lost their expectation, they've lost my trust, right? I can't trust a word out of their mouths now because it's constant lie after lie after lie with these people. And I don't know why. I don't know what the purpose is. Why are you lying? Just like tell the truth about this stuff, you know? Like, yeah, Hamas is bad. You don't have to lie to convince me of that. They just want to make Hamas that much worse, and it's just weird, you know? Anyway, the point is that these televangelists that we're listening to are absolutely unglued from reality and will do whatever it takes to lie in favor of Israel. Not in favor of Jews. Israel. It's just disgusting, man. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm just disturbed, straight up disturbed by this.